Have you ever felt it? A deep, unsettling whisper in the quietest moments of your life, a profound sense of misalignment with the world around you. They have fed you a carefully crafted narrative, a lullaby of comfort designed to keep your spirit asleep. They told you that the gentle murmur of conformity was the song of evolution, that your sensitivities were the new armor of strength, and that the gnawing emptiness of your depression was a storm you had no power to command. They offered you a pre-packaged version of masculinity, shrink-wrapped in therapy speak and hollow affirmations, and told you it was progress. But your soul knows the truth. Your very essence rejects this counterfeit strength. If this message resonates deep within you, awakening a truth you've long suppressed, then you have found your tribe. Acknowledge this resonance by liking this video, subscribing to this channel of awakening, and share in the comments the one word that describes your journey right now. Perhaps it's awakening, struggle, or becoming. Let the world know you are not alone, for we are the ones who hear the call of a higher destiny. Let us be brutally honest, with a clarity that cuts through the fog of modern delusion. What is unfolding in the hearts of men today is not an ascent into a higher state of being. It is a meticulously engineered descent into a state of systematic enslavement. Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher who wielded his words like a blacksmith's hammer, saw this coming. He prophesied this very plague of weakness, this insidious pandemic of the spirit that would sweep across generations. He knew that a society obsessed with comfort would inevitably breed men who were terrified of their own power. Just open your eyes and perceive the evidence. It is etched into the very fabric of our reality. We are witnessing an epidemic of despair, with male suicide rates climbing to heart-wrenching new heights. We see a generation of sons growing up in the long, cold shadow of disappearing father figures, yearning for guidance they never received. This has cultivated a new breed of man, one who can eloquently catalog every micro-trauma from his childhood with clinical precision, but stands utterly helpless before a flat tire. He can name a dozen different therapeutic modalities but cannot name the fire in his own soul. He has been taught to speak the language of the victim, but has forgotten the grammar of victory. This is not progress. It is a grand deception, a spiritual castration designed to render you docile, predictable, and powerless. But by the end of our time together, you will see the brutal, liberating truths that Nietzsche unearthed. You will understand with divine clarity who truly benefits from keeping you weak. And more importantly, you will be handed the keys to reclaim the immense, untamed power that is your birthright. They began weaving their web of lies from the moment your young mind could first grasp the meaning of words. They sold you a vision of success that was confined to the sterile, soul-crushing rhythm of a 9-to-5 existence, a slow and steady march toward a quiet, unremarkable grave. They defined vulnerability not as the courage to face your fears, but as the performative act of confessing your insecurities on command, turning your inner world into a spectacle for public consumption. They taught you that masculinity itself, that divine spark of assertive, creative, and protective energy, was something toxic, something to be apologized for, something to be diluted and suppressed until it was no longer a threat to the established order. Nietzsche had a name for this insidious value system: slave morality. It is the most brilliant and devastating trick ever played on the human spirit. It is the masterful inversion of all that is noble and strong into something to be reviled, and all that is timid and weak into something to be praised as virtuous. It is a cult of comfort, where men are coaxed into trading their divine will to power their innate drive to grow, to overcome, to create, and to leave a mark on the world for the hollow, fleeting approval of the herd. They offer you a pat on the head in exchange for your crown. Let us shatter this illusion with the force of a thunderclap. The modern man is not oppressed, he is addicted. He is a junkie for validation, a desperate seeker of safety, a believer in the poisonous delusion that life owes him happiness without a single drop of sweat, a single moment of struggle, a single tear of sacrifice. Nietzsche saw this creature shambling over the horizon of the future. He called him the last man, the ultimate product of a society that had extinguished every last spark of greatness. The last man is a creature of pure comfort, blinking in the pale light of his own mediocrity. He looks upon the grand tapestry of human existence and asks with a bewildered shrug, what is love? What is creation? What is longing? What is a star? He has forgotten the language of passion. He has made his home in a world so thoroughly cushioned and sanitized that he no longer feels the hunger for more, the divine dissatisfaction that has driven every great soul in history. A man so domesticated, he has forgotten how to hunger. Think about it. Why do men today crumble at the very first sign of conflict, retreating into echo chambers and safe spaces? Why do they beg for participation trophies in every arena of life, from their careers to their relationships, demanding rewards not for victory, but for simply showing up? It is because they have been meticulously trained to worship their own weakness. They have been taught to rebrand their helplessness as authenticity, to mistake the warm blanket of comfort for the upward climb of progress. Nietzsche warned us with chilling prescience, stating that the surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. And so, the modern man drowns in a vast gray sea of sameness, terrified to stand apart, terrified to demand more of himself, terrified to unleash the giant sleeping within. Here is the truth you have been avoiding, the truth that will set you free. Weakness is not a virtue. It is a disease, and it is spreading like a wildfire through the soul of modern masculinity. Look around you. You see men who have never been truly tested, yet complain that they are stuck. You see men who chase the fleeting, hollow hits of cheap dopamine through an endless stream of pornography, mind-numbing video games, and the empty theater of cheap politics instead of pursuing the enduring fulfillment of mastery. They have turned their backs on the one thing Nietzsche said could save them, the will to power. This is not the will to dominate others, but the divine imperative to achieve absolute domination over yourself. This is not about blaming society. It is about admitting the uncomfortable, terrifying, yet ultimately liberating truth. No one is coming to save you. Not the government, not your therapist, not the love of a good woman. The modern world did not emasculate you. It simply exposed you. It gave you every excuse to stay small, to remain a child, and you took them. Nietzsche's words cut deeper now than ever before. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. But modern men, they would rather medicate the pain than transcend it. Let's shatter another sacred illusion of the modern age, the myth of the nice guy. Nietzsche saw through this charade centuries before the digital town squares of red pill forums ever existed. He understood that these men do not act with genuine kindness, which is a manifestation of strength. Instead, they act transactionally. Their niceness is a covert contract, a currency they spend in the desperate hope of receiving affection, approval, or sex in return. They mistake their passivity for morality, their lack of courage for virtue. And then, when the world inevitably fails to reward their calculated compliance, they descend into a bitter, seething rage. Nietzsche called this resentment the impotent venom of the weak, who, unable to create their own values, seek to tear down the values of the strong. The poison of the weak is to blame the strong for their own failures. The modern nice guy doesn't truly love women. He loathes the men who dare to live with the bold, unapologetic power he secretly craves but is too afraid to seize for himself. He watches from the sidelines, nursing his grievances, while true creators and warriors shape the world. This is where the weakness epidemic becomes lethal. Men today don't just fail, they have learned to celebrate failure. They call quitting their job self-care. They call their laziness burnout. They have twisted Nietzsche's will to power into a will to comfort. But nature does not care about your safe space. Evolution does not reward the timid. History is a relentless, unforgiving epic written by men who embrace struggle, not by those who demanded easier terms. So where does this leave you, standing at the precipice of your own potential? It leaves you at a crossroads. You can continue to nod along to the soothing lies, the lie that you are a victim, the lie that mediocrity is noble, the lie that your greatness is somehow problematic. Or you can do what Nietzsche demanded. You can choose to become hard. Not cruel, not unfeeling, but relentless in the sacred pursuit of self-mastery. The world does not need more men who apologize for their existence. It desperately needs men who dare to overcome, starting with the final, unconquered frontier, themselves. Nietzsche did not fear strength. He feared the pervasive, soul-leveling lie of equality. Not the equality of rights or dignity, which is a noble pursuit, but the delusion that all men are born the same, think the same, and therefore deserve the same. The modern world preaches this doctrine like a gospel. It whispers in your ear, "You are enough." But Nietzsche would laugh with contempt at this cowardice. You are enough? No, you are potential. And potential that remains unmet is the greatest sin you can commit against your own existence. Why do men today demand praise for simply showing up? Why do they inflate their fragile egos with hollow affirmations like, "You're valid, king," while their lives crumble into a landscape of mediocrity? It is because they have traded the hard currency of standards for the counterfeit coin of sympathy. Nietzsche diagnosed this as the democratization of weakness. When you lower the bar for everyone, you do not elevate the weak, you simply drag down the strong. The entire architecture of the modern world is designed to keep you docile. Physically, you outsource your labor to machines and then wonder why you feel powerless. Mentally, you consume an endless torrent of content, but create nothing of your own. Spiritually, you worship convenience, fast food, fast dopamine, fast relationships, and then you complain that your life has no meaning. Nietzsche warned us, independence is for the very few. It is a privilege of the strong. But today's man, he is addicted to dependence. He wants the government to be his parent, corporations to be his entertainer, and women to be his mother, all while calling this insidious slavery freedom. Here is the hardest pill to swallow. You are not oppressed. You are complacent. The ancients fought lions. You fight algorithm changes on TikTok. Your grandfathers built civilizations. You build Fortnite skins. Real men once stared down death itself. You stare down minor inconveniences and call it trauma. Nietzsche saw this coming. He saw the rise of men who would rather blame than become. Men who blame women for their loneliness, blame capitalism for their laziness, and blame the past for their own refusal to act. To forget one's purpose is the commonest form of stupidity, he wrote. And modern men? They have forgotten theirs entirely. Men today don't worship gods, they worship distractions. Consider the gym goer who mistakes a six-pack for true strength, never realizing that discipline without a higher purpose is just another form of addiction. Or the consumer who frantically fills his inner emptiness with the latest gadgets, sneakers, and cryptocurrencies, desperately hoping that external things will fill the internal void of meaning. Or the political zealot who fights furious ideological wars online because he is too terrified to fight his own inner demons. Nietzsche's warning echoes through the ages. Men no longer recognize their own sickness because they are all sick in the same way together. The modern man isn't just weak, he is proud of it. He calls his chains community guidelines. He mistakes his cage for a safe space. So what then is the divine antidote to this spiritual poison? It is not more therapy, more medication, or more excuses. It is the one thing modern men fear more than failure itself, the demand to become. Nietzsche did not preach the sterile, self-helpy gospel of self-improvement. He preached the terrifying yet glorious doctrine of self-destruction. Not in the literal sense, but in the annihilation of the weak, coddled, comfort-seeking you. The version of yourself that bows to convenience, that fears judgment, that trades the potential for greatness for the certainty of approval. You must be ready to burn yourself in your own flame, he wrote. How could you rise anew if you have not first become ashes? Modern men don't need more life hacks. They need a funeral. A funeral for their excuses, for their fragility, for their addiction to being understood rather than respected. They have lied to you about Nietzsche's most dangerous and vital idea. The will to power is not about dominating others. It is about dominating your own inner chaos. The modern man thinks power is a title, a bank account, a viral tweet. Nietzsche spat on this. Real power? It's waking up at dawn when your body screams for sleep. It's rejecting the cheap, easy dopamine for the agonizing, beautiful struggle of creation. It's looking in the mirror and hating what you've seen it out of self-pity or insecurity. But because you see the vast, yawning gap between the man you are and the man you could be, weak men run from pain. Strong men weaponize it. The athlete embraces the burn. not to punish himself, but to transcend his limits. The artist stares at the blank page, not paralyzed by fear, but aroused by the void. The thinker wrestles with ideas that terrify him, because he knows that truth is found beyond the shores of comfort. Nietzsche's genius was in revealing the dirty little secret of the human soul. Suffering isn't your enemy, it is your forge. Modern men medicate their pain with therapy, speak, and pills, never realizing that the obstacle is the way. To live is to suffer, he wrote. To survive is to find meaning in the suffering. But mere survival is not enough. You must revel in it. Not as a martyr, but as a sculptor of your own destiny. Society will call you toxic. Weak men will label you too much, too intense, too ambitious, too unapologetic. Let them. Nietzsche's Übermensch isn't a superhero in a cape. He is simply the man who outgrows the need for consensus. While the herd debates, pronouns, and microaggressions, the sovereign man is building. While they virtue signal for applause, he is risking failure. While they demand safe spaces, he is inviting chaos, because he knows, in the marrow of his bones, that what does not kill him makes him stronger. This is not a motivational poster, it is a law of nature. Modern men fear being alone with their thoughts, alone with silence, alone with the void Nietzsche called the abyss. So they fill every waking second with noise, podcasts, text messages, endless scrolling, because the quiet terrifies them. But here's the truth. No great man was ever forged in a committee. Jesus wandered the desert. Buddha sat under the tree. Nietzsche himself wrote, "Thus spoke Zarathustra in profound isolation." Weak men seek constant validation. Strong men court solitude, not because they hate people, but because they know that true creativity and true strength are born in the very aloneness they fear. You still believe there is an endpoint. You tell yourself that one day, after enough struggle, after enough transformation, you will finally arrive. Nietzsche's final, devastating hammer strike destroys this fantasy. Not when truth is dirty, but when it is shallow, does the enlightened man go unwillingly into its waters. The modern man wants shallow truths, 3-step solutions, 10-day transformations, the lie that metamorphosis has a finish line. But the Übermensch knows better. There is no destination. There is only the eternal climb. Every summit you reach reveals another, higher mountain. Every answer you find births a harder, more profound question. This is not a cause for despair. It is the very definition of liberation. The weak man hears this and collapses under the weight of infinity. The unbreakable man, he laughs and takes the next step. Most men live in quiet negotiation with life, bargaining for less pain, fewer risks, softer blows. Nietzsche offers no bargain, only an ultimatum. Become who you are. Not tomorrow. Not after the next podcast. Not after the next book. Not after the next dose of motivation. Now, in this breath, with the scars you have and the chaos you've been given. The modern world will whisper to you that you can curate your transformation, that you can grow without bleeding, that you can rise without burning. These are the lies of men who have never stared into the abyss and felt it stare back. The abyss does not negotiate. It only asks one question: how much can you endure? Your entire life is the answer. This is where the paths diverge. Most men will close this video and remain unchanged, comforted by the illusion that knowing is enough. But you have felt the itch in your bones, the discomfort. That is Nietzsche's shadow passing over your soul. It is not enough to hear these words. You must live them. Not in grand gestures, but in daily defiance. The cold shower instead of the warm bed. The brutal truth instead of the sweet lie. The no when everyone around you begs for a yes. The Übermensch isn't born in fireworks. He is forged in thousands of uncelebrated moments where he chooses hardness over ease. Here is the secret no guru will ever tell you. Strength isn't the absence of weakness. It is the domination of it. Nietzsche didn't conquer his demons. He learned to dance with them. Your depression, your rage, your insecurities, they never truly leave. You simply outgrow them, like a great tree absorbing the poison in the soil and turning it into thick, unyielding bark. The modern man seeks purification, a way to eliminate all darkness. The sovereign man uses the darkness as fuel. You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star nut in spite of your cracks. But because of them, most men will forget this by sunrise. They will return to their distractions, their excuses, their smallness. But if you are different, if something in you has finally snapped, then these are not just words. They are fire. And fire does one of two things. It either consumes or it forges. There is no middle ground, no safe distance. Nietzsche's truth is simple. You are what you do with your chaos. Not your intentions, not your potential, your actions. The unbreakable man isn't born. He is built, choice by choice, blow by blow, until the world looks at him and doesn't see a man at all. It sees a force,